Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you really want to live in the body and mind you really want to be living in. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of food and body freedom, as well as find more meaning and more moments of joy in life, you are in the right place. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and being here. This is the show where we are diving into all the emotional, mental, and physical health and wellness trends, strategies, whatever you want to call it, to help you live your best life. And I am your host, Heather Heynen, and today we're going to talk about a pretty hot topic in the world of weight loss, and that is appetite regulation. But specifically, we're going to explore how you can manage your appetite with strategies and skills that can be just as effective as the popular GLP-1 drugs and other weight loss drugs. So, if you're looking for natural ways to control your hunger, to cut cravings, to support your weight loss journey, or to stay in weight loss maintenance, this is a great episode for you. So, I do know that most of you, as my audience, deal with food issues, which I kind of have in quotes there, food issues, food chatter, the constant chatter about food, about your body, about your weight, about what should I eat, what shouldn't I eat, I shouldn't have ate that, I really want to eat that. This inability, maybe this inability to lose weight or to keep it off, dealing with lots and lots of cravings and those really strong urges for food, really wanting to eat normal, as they say, but as hard as you try, this just doesn't happen. And many of you know that, well, if you've listened to this show for a while, you know I personally struggled with this for years and years. I really don't think anyone who hasn't gone through the food and body weight issues actually understands how devastating it can be to a person's life. I had years, and I know many of you have had or in the midst of them right now, where I felt really anxious and depressed, all because of my inability to stop the food chatter, to stop the negative body self talk. It really is miserable and feels like your life is kind of being stolen from you. And no matter how hard you try, the latest diet, the next fad, the drug, whatever, you can't fix it. And I finally broke free from all of this, and is why I started this podcast 4 years ago, because as much as I love working one-on-one with my clients to get them freedom, and on the other side of this issue, I wanted to help more people. I wanted to help as many people as I could, and a podcast was a great way to do it. I mean, really, there are now thousands of you listening to this all over the world, and many of you are finding freedom through the methods and techniques that I talk about in this podcast. So today, I really want you to listen, as I'm going to share some really, really practical behavioral tips and strategies that I implemented when I began to heal my relationship with food. Now, the thought work and the emotional work, like all, if you've been listening to this for a while, that's a lot of the episodes. The thought work, the emotional work, that definitely needs to be done alongside these practical appetite regulation strategies. But these strategies are just as big of a part as the thought work and the emotional work. And here's why. If you don't figure out how to nourish your body and regulate your appetite, you will constantly be battling cravings and urges, and honestly battling the cravings and urges and all the food chatter that goes on. It takes too much energy. When this is going on, we are not in freedom when we are having to battle all the urges, and when it feels so hard to manage food and our body weight. But there really are some super easy, kind of cool ways to create a normal appetite, which in turn makes it so much easier to manage food intake. So when my appetite is managed, I don't have cravings or urges. And so although 5 cookies used to be just the start of of a binge for me. Now, when there are delicious cookies available, I'm literally mentally and emotionally good with just one. I do not need nor even crave or urge or want another. And I thought this would never be possible. And I know there's many of you out there who think it's just never going to be possible. I'm never going to change. I get it. I really thought that like I would never be in this space when I was struggling with binge eating disorder. I really thought I would be like this forever, but I am telling you that you too can learn to manage your appetite with some of these more simplistic strategies. And I'm going to go through some real general ones. But I did create an online course that I just published, I don't know, a month ago, and I haven't really talked about it at all, but to teach these strategies more in depth and appropriately. This course I priced at only what it cost me to have it hosted on the platform it was created from. So it's only like 18 bucks. And I did this because I really want anyone to have access to learn how to implement this info. The course does not get into all the thought work and emotional work. There's another course that I have that does all this. So this is a little bit more trimmed down and it's different in its content. It's just a lot more practical. Maybe for those of you who are sort of like, I don't have the time or money to commit to some in-depth online course. So if you've gone through, if you have gone through my course on how to stop overeating, binging, and emotional eating for good, and you want to take this course as well, just a heads up that the first modules are similar. So you get the foundations of my program in both courses, but after module one, they're totally different. And this newer course also includes a movement or exercise module to promote appetite regulation. Okay, so let's start by understanding what GLP-1 drugs do. So GLP-1 or glucagon like peptide 1 is a hormone that plays a role in regulating appetite and blood sugar levels. So these drugs like semaglutide and liraglutide mimic this hormone, which helps to reduce hunger and promotes this feeling of fullness. While these drugs can be effective, they're not the only way to manage appetite. There are several natural strategies that can help you really achieve similar results. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So the first step or one of the things you can do to help regulate your appetite naturally is understanding the types of food you eat and how they impact your body. So different foods have different effects on hunger and satiety hormones. So one useful tool here is using the glycemic index. And in that course, I go into detail with what the glycemic index is and how you can use it and give examples and cheat sheets you can print off and all the things. So the glycemic index ranks food based on how quickly that food raises your blood sugar level. So foods with high GI, a high glycemic index, are things like white bread, they're things like sugary snacks. They cause a really rapid spike in blood sugar followed by a quick drop, which can lead to increased hunger. On the other hand, low GI foods like whole grains, legumes, fruits, vegetables, obviously protein, are digested more slowly, which really provide a gradual release of energy and help you feel fuller longer. So understanding foods and where they fall on this glycemic index scale can really help you make specific choices to regulate that blood sugar. Now, I'm not going to get into why regulation of blood sugar is so important for weight loss and weight maintenance, but if you go into that course, you'll learn that. Or if you don't want to take the course, I do have an episode, and I suck because I did not look back and see what number it was, but there is an episode on blood sugar and the importance of understanding how to manage that for weight loss. The other really cool thing about understanding the glycemic index of foods is it really is this very structured way to understand that, well, this is kind of how I use it. If I'm going to, like, if I really want to eat something that's going to spike my blood sugar, let's just be honest, this is going to be cookies for me right now. So if I'm going to do that, I'm making sure that I'm eating specific foods before I indulge in something like that. Because if you combine some foods, you can create a lower blood sugar spike and dip. And so if I eat the cookie, I'm going to have this high spike and then this really fast dip, and that's going to make me extra hungry and want to ingest more food, and not just immediately after. This could happen the next day as well, a couple days later. So, I would use that glycemic index to eat specific foods before I have the cookie. And that way my blood sugar does not spike as high, and I'm not going to have as low a drop, and I feel satiated. My appetite is managed. So I'm not ending up eating or consuming more food, more energy intake later that day, later that night, or the next day, or 2 days after that. Another strategy is to combine different types of foods to enhance the satiety signal. You can combine certain foods to create these hormone releases in your body to create satiety. For example, pairing protein with fiber-rich foods can really significantly reduce hunger in the future. So this isn't like you eat these things and then it's like, oh, well, you do get full, you get satiated, but doing this actually helps your appetite into the future. So even 24 hours later, what you ate the day before is going to be affecting your appetite the next day. Obviously, protein found in things like, my favorite would be lean meats, but you can also find it in beans and dairy. Protein definitely is known for its ability to promote fullness. Meanwhile, fiber found in vegetables, fruits, whole grains can add bulk to your meals without adding the extra calories. Starting your day with a breakfast is really important. And in this course, I talk about that and give some examples of that as well. Okay, so another strategy you can use is meal timing. Meal timing can play a really critical role in appetite regulation. So eating at regular intervals can prevent extreme hunger. This also can help prevent big blood sugar drops, which often lead to overeating, cravings, and urges. Some people find success with strategies like intermittent fasting, where you limit your eating to a specific window of time. I've talked a lot that for anyone dealing with binge eating disorder or does the emotional eating thing, what I've found in working with so many clients over the years, fasting in particular does not work great for people like us. It may for a while, but I've seen it backfire every single time. Where for people like us who maybe have some of those issues, it's much more of this restriction feeling, and so then we end up going into overeating or binging episodes when we're doing this. But for some people, intermittent fasting can really be beneficial and really can help regulate your body's hunger hormones and improve metabolic health. I do recommend, if you're going to try, intermittent fasting, and this is just me personally. There's no major research behind any of this stuff right now where we know one method is better than the other. What I personally like is just, limiting your food intake to an 8-hour feeding window. So you kind of decide what 8 hours during the day you're going to consume food, and the rest of the hours you're not eating. And if you're not quite there yet, where you're only eating in an 8-hour window, there is some research on even doing like a 12-hour fast. So while you're sleeping and making sure you have a full 12 hours off from eating, and then having a 12-hour eating window, that definitely shows some benefits as well and can help people really help regulate their appetite. The problem comes in when we are just randomly eating at random times. Or the other problem is we're eating and snacking literally all day long, which that's so many of us. That's where our appetite gets dysregulated. The hormones kind of go wackadoo. And so you want to think about just really every day trying to be on some sort of feeding schedule. So I have a lot of my clients work to do 3 meals a day, maybe one snack in there. I know that sounds old school, but for many of us with binge eating disorders or overeating, or emotional eating, we almost really need to regroup and get on a scheduled eating like that. And I find that helps so many people overcome their binge eating, just being on a very regular 3 meals a day one snack a day type schedule. Now, again, that's not for everyone. Some people do great, you know, with 2 meals a day. I'm big on keeping the body nourished, and I think that's really tough to do with something like 1 meal a day. Okay, so the next one, of course, I have to throw this in here, is mindful eating practices. And mindful eating is another powerful tool for appetite, for physical appetite regulation. You know, I talk about mindful eating a lot. It's really, really important to help those of us with emotional eating and binge eating and overeating disorders. You know, honestly, mindful eating, we know, actually physically regulates the appetite. So this involves paying full attention to the experience of eating and savoring each bite. Studies have shown that people who eat mindfully are really so much better at recognizing their body's hunger and fullness signals. And I'm not going to get into how to practice mindful eating because I've got lots of episodes on that one that you can go back and listen to. Another one is hydration. So sometimes our bodies can confuse thirst with hunger, which really leads to unnecessary snacking or taking in excess energy. And so drinking a glass of water before meals can help you feel fuller and reduce the overall calorie or energy intake of that meal. And then overall, just aiming to drink just the basics again, at least eight glasses of water a day. And another really good tip or trick, if you will, that I coach my clients on using often is starting your meals with a broth-based soup, like a bone broth-based soup, or even a water-rich salad to help control the appetite of that meal. Just a quick interruption to tell you about 5 Strands at-home intolerance test. These are home testing kits, and they are a very affordable option for adults and kids to help you uncover common food and environmental intolerances. This is different than allergy testing. 5 Strands test for food intolerances, not allergies. So these food and intolerance home testing kits include packages for food ingredients, environmental items, minerals, and nutrition. And you can buy the kits individually, or you can purchase the health and wellness package to receive all of the standard testing kits for adults and children. The testing results, what they do is they provide you with an elimination guideline to remove foods that may be causing unwanted symptoms, things like headaches, digestive issues, bloating. And so, you know, we all have foods that can be causing inflammation like this in the body. And 5 Strands has helped many people figure out exactly what foods to eliminate for an elimination diet so that you're not just guessing what foods are making you feel terrible or not so good. And remember, an elimination diet is meant to be temporary and not forever. So you can use 5 Strands to know how to start your elimination diet, and then once you start feeling better, you can start to add back in the offending foods slowly into your diet. So just a reminder, elimination diet is not meant to be forever. So if you think this is something that might be helpful for you where you're at on your health and wellness journey, you can go to 5strands.com, and that's the number 5. So the number 5strands.com, and enter my name as your discount code. So, you know, when you get to the checkout, there'll be a box for a discount code, and you just enter my name, Heather Heynen. And Heynen is spelled Heynen. It's all one word, no spaces. So use my name as your discount code at checkout, and you'll get a really nice discount. And then finally, physical activity is another essential component of appetite regulation, which we don't think about. And this is why I included this module in that new course, because movement and exercise actually can help balance your hunger hormones and can suppress appetite immediately after a workout. Now, this is where it gets tricky, and why I had a whole module on teaching this, because you really need the Goldilocks effect for this to work. You don't want no movement, no exercise, because that there's no benefit there. You're not helping regulate your appetite then. But if you do too much, then we screw up the appetite as well. You know, it's understanding that there is going to be a Goldilocks place of regular physical activity and movement to help with the appetite regulation hormones. So, you know, there's things like thinking about aerobic exercise, like walking or cycling, but staying in zone 2 is really, really important, and not not constantly being in like zone 3 and 4. It's kind of those junk zones. If you are an athlete or performance based, you have to disregard what I'm talking about right now. I am just talking about those of us who are exercising and using movement to regulate our appetite, to improve our mood, to reduce stress, all of which it does, by the way, and to reduce our emotional eating, our overeating, our binge eating. So those of us in that space, not working on performance, you want to stay in that zone 2 if you're doing aerobic type exercise. But then, of course, I really, really push for adding strength training into your routine. It's really, really important. And honestly, if you're just a beginner, even a short daily walk can really make significant differences in how you feel and to really optimize those hunger hormones. All right, so there you have it. Several strategies to help you regulate your appetite naturally without relying on GLP-1 or other weight loss drugs. By the way, I am not against those drugs at all. I have quite a few clients who are taking them, and the way I work with people who are taking those drugs or that medication is that while they're on them, they are working with me to learn strategies and habits so that those habits and lifestyle strategies can be in place. So when they decide they're ready to go off the weight loss drug, they already have those habits and that new lifestyle in place so that they don't regain the weight. Because obviously no one wants to be on those drugs forever. They're expensive for one and kind of pain in the ass, pain in the butt to take. So um, okay, so you have some ideas like by understanding the impact of different foods, combining nutrients strategically, timing your meals, mindful eating, staying hydrated, really optimizing your movement. You really can take control of your hunger and support your weight loss goals and keep you there, sustained for life. So, if this episode interests you, and you want to learn more specific strategies and how to actually implement them, then check out that new course I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. You can find links to all my courses in the episode description below this episode in whatever platform you're listening from. Or you can go to my website, heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and you can just from my website, you can navigate to all the courses I have there. Remember, this really is all about finding out what works best for you and making sustainable changes to your lifestyle that can last for good. And if you enjoyed this episode or found something of value, please be sure to subscribe and leave a review. That really, really helps other people find this show, which in turn helps me keep the show going and releasing an episode every single week. And as always, we will talk soon. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and there you will find links to my online courses, how I work with clients one-on-one as well as online with my coaching and counseling services that I offer. The information in this podcast is intended to provide a broad understanding and knowledge of healthcare topics. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be considered complete and should not be used in place of advice from your physician or healthcare provider. We recommend you consult your physician or healthcare professional before beginning or altering your personal exercise, diet, or supplementation program.